This is the Office Manager Diaries, a podcast all about the highs and the lows of professionals in office management around the world. We'll delve into their career journeys and diaries where they'll share their stories, tips for success, and only things office managers understand. Enjoy, and please remember to give us a follow. Hi everybody, welcome back to the Office Manager Diaries. We're back this week with another episode and my guest Heidi Dodgson, who is the Office Manager at GLMX Europe. Hello Heidi.
Hi Hannah, thank you for having me.
Such a pleasure. Thank you very much for being on. How are you doing today?
I'm doing very well, thank you. Excited to be here.
Good. And how's work been? Because I feel like everybody has been mad the whole way through this year. Is it the same for you?
Yeah, it has been a little crazy. There's been so many different projects that has been coming on top of like your normal workflow, things that you don't see coming or haven't anticipated or planned for. So I found that a little bit more hectic than it could have been.
Yeah, and it's difficult, isn't it? Because these roles are often so reactive and we get thrown into so many things. So we aren't always in charge of our the destiny of our workload, as it were. So yeah, I just feel like everyone's being crazy, and so many people I'm speaking to are saying, "Oh, I'm just too busy at the moment to look at it, but I'll do that next week or whatever." And I just feel like it is mad for everyone. Whereas usually there's that calm over the summer, calm over Christmas, and I don't feel like it happens anymore. Hybrid working that's not allowing the calm, and everyone's just constantly available and constantly switched on.
It depends. If you have young kids, I mean, life is never really switched off. I think hybrid working has allowed people to be a lot more switched on. I find that even our guys at work, if they are unwell, they still log on from home. So they're never actually having downtime to rest and recover completely before coming to work. So I think that is part of it. But I also just think we're in a startup. So many startups have got just so many things going on. So between conferences, fundraising rounds, and there's just a lot going on in the sphere and also within finance. Obviously, you've seen there's a lot going on in the news, and that all affects us and the platform. So I think that's got a lot to do with it within our company.
I guess it is quite sector specific, isn't it? And it has been a very turbulent year politically. And we are recording this on the 8th of November. So for anyone that's been following the news this week, you'll know about the US election. And I will save you from my thoughts on that. But let's just say I woke up fearing the dread on Wednesday morning. But yeah, it's a really weird time. And I think office managers are just sucked into so many things. So tell us about you and your role then at GLMX, and how long have you been there for?
I have been there since the 1st of May. I actually got in because I used to work for the now VP of GLMX. I was his half PA, half office manager in another role, and he put me forward for this role. And when the space became available, he put me forward to the COO, and I got the role that way, which was quite amazing, but that's come with a lot of responsibility. Because we're a startup, we don't have HR. Thank goodness we have IT at least, but we don't have anything because they never had an office manager before the previous lady left, and she didn't do very much. So we've had no health and safety. Obviously, I've done the health and safety course with you, which was amazing. So there's been so many gaps that I've been trying to plug and fill, also create a culture and build some relationships and get to know people, because I find that you can't help anyone if you haven't connected with them first and actually find the pain points. So I'm still feeling my way around, trying to find some pain points and trying to get to a point where I can anticipate needs before they even ask.
How do you do that? Let's share more insights here. How do you connect with people to find out what those pain points are? And what's your strategy going in, being there for 6 months now? What has that looked like for you over the last 6 months to get to the crux of those pain points and the issues?
I think some of it is building a relationship, having open eyes and ears in the middle of the office, overhearing water cooler conversations and kind of going, oh, I can help that. Funny enough, is always around food and coffee in the office. So I've had some suppliers that have followed me literally from office to office. And I have found that using vetted suppliers that you know, trust, and understand their quality of service has also been invaluable, because I've said to them, I've got a coffee supplier, love it, good quality coffee. Would you like to try? Yes. And then we've gotten to a point where nobody in the building will drink anybody else's coffee, which is a testament to myself, which is amazing that I've said something and they've managed to trust what I've said. So it started off something small like coffee, and that trust just grows and builds. And then just being available, when somebody goes, I'm really having a bad day. Okay, tell me a little bit more about that. Is there anything in the sphere of what I can influence? Can I help you? Or I'm feeling unwell. Okay, why are you feeling unwell? Are you stressed? Do your screens need adjustment? Do you need me to adjust your chair? Like, do we need to do a display screen adjustment? What does that look like? And being able to literally change people's lives, positions, and just their everyday to come into the office. And when you've done that with one or two people and it starts becoming tangible, it kind of keeps going, it keeps rolling. And then other people go, oh, I can really trust her. I can go to her for something. And people then come to you with random things. And even if it's personal, not always it's got to do with the office, you do build those trust relationships and you become available.
Really good insights there, because you have to become the go-to person in these roles in order to do the job, to provide a service. And I was talking about this in the course, I think a couple of weeks ago. We talk about being approachable and ensuring that you bridge those relationships, connections, as you call them, to make sure that people are coming to you. Because if you don't know about the things that are going on, you can't fix it, or you can't prevent it from happening in the first place. You need trust. You need people to see you as a go-to person, even though that has a double-edged sword where it comes with then people telling you about the fact that their great aunt died and they're crying on your desk and things, and also then coming to you about things that have absolutely jack s to do with you and your job, but you then become this kind of wayfinding, waypointing type signage to say you need to go that way, you need to go to them, etc. But it is such an important thing to acknowledge and to proactively do in these roles. So it's really good to hear that you have done that and sort that out in your first 6 months of being there. End of the year look like for you, Heidi, in your role? What's coming up now that we are reaching the year end? Are you having Christmas or holiday parties, I should say, to not bend as it were, but what are you doing? Seasonal parties?
We've got one social coming up to welcome a new joiner. Then we also have an office party booked at Swingers in Bank, which we're all looking forward to. And yeah, I think we're going to decorate the office together. We've got a fairly small team and they all want to get in on it. And then we've got Secret Santa, and we've definitely got a mulled wine and cheese night.
Very nice. I like the sound of all of that.
East Saxon Training is a long-standing partner of the Office Management Group and a proud sponsor for this week's episode. David Hewitt, the owner of EST, has developed an excellent reputation among our office management members. He delivers fire warden training, office first aid training and fire risk assessments, as well as general health and safety consultancy. And David's always happy to help with any health and safety related queries, especially within the Office Management Portal. In 2023, East Saxon Training were voted by their customers as the Office Management Service Provider of the Year winner in our awards programme. And with over 200 five-star recommendations, you know you're in good hands with them. If you want to find out more about the support and services they offer, visit www.eastsaxontraining.com or find them in the Office Management Portal. And thank you to East Saxon Training for supporting this podcast.
So we've known each other for some time. Can you remember the first interaction we had and how you first discovered the Office Management Group and the Office Management Portal that you're a member of?
first PA show that I'd ever been to at the Excel Center, I was massively overwhelmed by all the noise and everything. And I found this quiet little space by you. And it was so nice just to stand and chat. And we just chatted through some pain points that I was having. And then you said to me, oh, why don't you join the portal? Like, I've got templates for that. And I was blown away by the amount of stuff that was actually available for me and just the office management profession. And it just really helped. And then from there, I think we just connected. I kept coming to the events, met some more office managers, came to some more events. And it's just kind of, the network has grown from there. It's been amazing to watch from the outside in, obviously, you and growing your business, but then also being involved and my personal network growing within that, having various WhatsApp chats and the portal and Slack, obviously, for anything we need. It's been absolutely invaluable. I cannot stress how much value that I get from it.
I like asking that question, especially when I've known people for as long as I've known you, because I actually can't remember. And then as soon as you said the PA show, I literally pictured you standing at my stand and us having that conversation, just kind of clicking, I think, as well, which often happens, right, in office management roles where you go to these networking events and you just click with somebody. And it's often because of the common ground we've got where people don't get what we do. So as soon as you find someone that gets it, it's like, you see me, I see you. So it's really nice. And yeah, I do like the PA shows, but they are quite overwhelming. So I also want to acknowledge that comment because they are noisy. It's in quite a big open space where the sound just transfers around, and it can be quite overwhelming for some people. So yeah, it was nice that you found me through the like, oh, where's the least overwhelming area there, that woman there. So you are a regular member, as you said, at the networking events. What would you say are the benefits of bridging and networking these roles? And why should someone do it if they haven't already attempted to find an office management hub or a space in their vicinity, in their location where they are around the world?
I think, like senior management, office management is a very lonely role because you sit so closely with the senior management, you have their ear because they don't understand what's going on in the office. Because you're so close with them, I think sometimes the office sees you more in a management role than a peer. So you never quite sit with anyone unless you're in a really big company and you have multiple office managers. So I found that having other office managers at the tips of my fingers and going, I really need help with this. And they can respond knowing A, the context of office management, B, my pain points, and C, just the general frustration sometimes that comes with the random requests that get thrown at us. So to have 3, 4, 500 other office managers seeing me, and then a few people responding, going, try this, try that. We've tried this, this works, this doesn't work, which is also super valuable. Or this is my trusted supplier. I've used them many times. Or often you've responded and gone, yeah, I've seen that. Like the suppression system, the gas suppression system was a very random one for me. And you really helped me navigate through between the legal, the requirements, the health and safety, and then also just communicating that through on a level that people could actually understand. So for me, that obviously across so many spheres, it really just helped calm me because I built my knowledge in that and then also upskilled in being able to communicate that through.
It does have multiple benefits, doesn't it? Because one, that feeling of isolation, but I really like what you say there about the senior management, because it is something that happens. I think I've written a blog about the feeling of isolation a long time ago in our roles, and is that thing of why are we isolated first and foremost? And I think you're right. We're in positions of trust. We're often the only ones in the companies doing it, but also we do get information, if there's an office move coming up or a round of redundancies, we often know fairly early on before the majority. Like I remember at JP Morgan when they decided to move from all the different offices they had around the city and things to the one hub in Canary Wharf in London, which was the old Lehman Brothers building that they bought. I was there at the time and we were there till like midnight some nights sketching out the floor plan to see if we could fit in before the deal was gone through, because we had a large footprint in London and a lot of the other kind of office managers and leads were doing the same, that we were one of the first less than 100 people in like a 30 odd thousand staff company to know that this was potentially happening. And we went and visited it, all very much cloak and dagger and under the radar. So you are often put in these positions. So, you know, a number of other different disciplines and professions, but you are in these roles where you do get special privilege, let's just say, and special privileges that aren't exposed to the rest of the people, and therefore by default. And also I feel like it's because that respect, right? That balance where people often see this as a manager role where you are managing people and you're not. But much like a line manager, you are managing the office space and therefore the people using it. And so that towing the line and respect and that kind of mum to daughter type relationship comes into play, where you can't get too close to them because the respect might disappear and therefore things don't get put in the dishwasher, or cupboard doors don't get shut, or whatever. They don't book the meeting rooms because they think, oh, it's all right, actually I can get away with it because we're friends or whatever. So it is that very tricky balance and striking the balance, don't you think?
Yeah, I have gotten in trouble for that before in other roles when I think starting out, you try and become friends and you become too familiar. And you're right, they try and get you to do or advocate for them things that they should be doing themselves or advocating themselves, or like, oh, I need to go home because I'm not feeling well. Can you just tell my line manager, or can you just tell senior management? And in some companies, that's fine, but in some companies, that's a no-no. And again, I don't mind helping out if you are puking your lungs out and nobody wants to see you. By all means, disappear out and I will help and advocate for you. But if you just got a sniffle and want to work from home for the rest of the day, that's also not cool.
I've done it before, even with my staff, and I've become too close to them. It's kind of like the servant management style where you prioritize the relationship and being liked over actually getting the job done. And it becomes a little bit like that in our office management role. So it's something to be very aware of. What has been your career journey to date, Heidi? Any lows or highs to share with us?
Many highs and many lows. I started in admin and office management, maybe about 10, 12, 15 years ago now in London. And I have been employed, I've been unemployed, I've been in startups, which is definitely my highlight because you just get to do so many different things. You get to see so many different places. I've contracted a lot, which is also exciting because I really enjoy an office move. It's a sweet spot for me. So I went through a stage where I think I did 4 contracts back to back and I did office moves from little ones to completely building out a floor. So I think that was definitely a high for me. The skills that came with that, the management style, just the autonomy that came with being able to completely do an office from the walls and the ceiling that was given to you, that was definitely a high. Lows, I think startups are always touch and go, so you don't always know how long you're going to stay. And sometimes it's not very long because if you don't hit the series funding round for whatever reason, I think admin staff are usually the first to go. So I've also been made redundant, I think about 4 or 6 times now. So that's a little bit stressful when you've got a mortgage and a little one. But otherwise, I've made so many friends along the way, and I've made friends for life, and I've had support. And yeah, I've really loved my journey so far.
Don't mind. Let's talk about redundancy, because I have been fortunate enough to never have been made redundant or been in any of these positions. She's laughing. Of course you haven't, you perfect bitch. But I'm thinking, yeah, she's nodding. But I've had this business for 8 years as well, by the way. So there's that in that, you know, these kind of turbulent times haven't affected me necessarily because I've had this business, but I have been fortunate. And to be honest, I've seen the writing on the wall sometimes as well. And I've got out before potentially the waves come. So I've always probably had that, or certainly sometimes had that advantage. But that side, I think it would be a really good topic to go into. Like, what advice, because I see sometimes it's happened again this year where there's quite a lot of office managers or roles in this sector of, or this profession of admin. I don't like calling it admin, but business operations team is the bot team is the phrase that I'm coining. And I would love to know if you're happy to share. What would you say to anybody who has just been made redundant or is going through redundancy, facing it in it still already, and is perhaps unemployed? Like, what advice and tips can you give to people in that position? Because I expect there are some people listening to this who are in that position or may well face it in the future and could use some guidance from someone who's been there, unfortunately, a few times.
I think that being made redundant is both a curse and a blessing. It depends on your perspective and how you look at it. You can either let life swallow you up, or you can rise to the challenge. I think it is an amazing time to be able to connect with your networks on a deeper level, because you now actually have the time to make those connections, to meet people, to go for a coffee that with a mentor that you don't normally have the time and space for, or even the headspace to think through. I think it's an amazing time to reflect on where you've been and where you want to go, because sometimes you get so caught up in the rat race of life that you forget to go, okay, I'm going, but where am I going? Because that's really important. I think sometimes when you've been redundant for maybe around about 6 months, it starts looking a bit grim. And that's the point where I've found that upskilling, doing courses, getting involved, whether it's a volunteer position, Fair Trade Foundation, I felt was amazing. Yeah, volunteering for me really changed my perspective, because you can give and not get, which is pretty much the office management role anyway. So I think choose how you want to look at a redundancy and recalibrate where you're going. It's not easy, it's not nice, but when you have a network like the office management group, you can say to the girls, look, today I'm having a really bad day. Does anyone have space for me to come and meet them in London for a coffee or drinks after work? And I've never once had the girls say to me, not today. So for me, that's why I love the network so much, because it doesn't matter if you've got a job, don't have a job, bored, so busy and chaotic. Everyone at some point is in a space to go, oh, I really need help here. And there are numerous amounts of people that go, yeah, I can help you. Yeah, I can support you.
Everyone's more or less been there as well, haven't they, in terms of these positions and the things that need to be done. And a lot of people have been in that position as well of being made redundant. So there is a lot of support. I will just clarify and say there are guys on this network as well, people. Heidi's referring to a WhatsApp group where it's all girls. And I think that's the core group that she refers to when she needs that drink or catch up or whatever. So there are men as well. Come into the group, men, if you're listening, and come and join us. So, Heidi, you've managed a number of office moves, and I know this because we've talked about it when we've had our own catch-ups and I've seen you at events and things.
Mm-hmm.
During your time, there's been a lot. What have been your biggest takeaways from those kind of projects?
I can't do it myself. I need a team that I can rely on. I need suppliers that understand my need, and I need to plan. More than anything else, you either plan or you fail. Those are my biggest takeaways.
That kind of fail to plan to fail type scenario and approach. Yeah.
In this episode's tip, I'm going to talk about DSE assessments, so display screen equipment assessments, and the process and requirement for these, plus a couple of tips. Now, DSE assessments are a legal requirement in most countries around the world, and it's really important if you are listening to us overseas. And hi to all our incredible international followers. Please do keep sending me messages to say where you're listening from and giving us the feedback, because I love seeing it. But aside from that, and back to the tip, it can vary. So sometimes they're called workstation assessments or ergonomic desk assessments. I've seen a number of different terms for them in my time when I've done the research on these internationally. But whatever they're called, the requirement is generally the same, in that if you issue display screen equipment, which is essentially anything with a visual display unit on it, so a VDU, where you have like a liquid crystal display or an LED type display, anything with that on it, and you're asking your staff to use it regularly, usually an hour or more a day every day that they're working, then they become what's called a DSE user, and the requirement is to train them in how to set up their equipment properly and how to carry out a self-assessment at least annually or when there is a change. So for me, and for someone who is quite competent with health and safety and DSCs, I've done many hundreds of DSCs over the 20 years in office management, and I absolutely love doing them. I've had some people cry quite literally when I've just raised their chair and they've realised that their shoulders were in this really tense, what we call static loading state, all this time working crazy long hours in the office, 10, 12 hours doing research for an investment bank and things. And they can feel the tension just go when they're sitting at the correct height. So it is really important. It can be really life-changing for people and also boost morale. So make sure you understand your legal requirements in whichever jurisdiction around the world you're in, and you get out there, you give people proper training in the use of the chairs and the use of their equipment, and you follow up with any issues, aches, pains, or changes. Changes are things like becoming an expectant mother, maybe having a temporary injury such as broken arms or legs or sprains, etc., being in casts and so on. People who are more vulnerable, so those who perhaps have a disability, whether that is being in a wheelchair or being partially sighted or hard of hearing. Anybody perhaps who has things like dyslexia or any other ailments essentially that may tamper how they interact with this equipment and therefore may need additional support and or what we call reasonable adjustments or adaptations made to the software or their workstation. Office moves or desk moves count as a change as well. And if you have hybrid workers, I would absolutely recommend keeping rough tabs on anybody who's moving home, or at least ensuring you do that annual reminder and training and assessment check so that they are caught in that as well. Because if they're remote working or hybrid working and they change home, all of the environment from the lighting to the desk space, the noise, the heat, the cold, all these things that we look at with DSE count and need to be reassessed, and we need to check they're comfortable and they're safe. I hope that helps for this week, and if you want to hear more DSE tips, then let me know and I can share some more over the coming episodes.
What then would you say are the top skills that someone needs to do this office workplace facilities management type role, and why?
Flexibility. You need to be a very skilled multitask because you don't know what's going to come to you at any one given point. And even if you know what's coming, you need to be able to pivot because people change their minds. Things change, whether that's plans, whether that's, oh, I can't bring that line in, or, oh, that doesn't fit there. You need to still be able to change, plan, recalibrate, and move forward. I think another skill is to keep moving. I think a lot of people get stuck and overwhelmed by a problem and kind of get sucked into it. But if you just take a step back, breathe, let's have a look at it from a different perspective and move forward. You keep moving. And as you keep moving, you find a solution. And I think that's a massive skill. I also think technology plays quite a big part in that. The use of AI has also been invaluable, whether that is someone building something for me, like a floor plan or anything like that. If you're not willing to use the tech available, I know some people are tech averse, that will be to your detriment.
Comfortable with tech. Well, just say to the listeners, just in case there is any sound coming through, that you have got your daughter there with you, haven't you? And if she does want to sit on your lap again, because she keeps popping up and I keep waving at her, then she can say hi and be on her first podcast, can't she?
Thank you.
She's been a bit poorly this morning, bless her. So you're multitasking as always. How do you balance the world at work with this hybrid working, which even Amazon recently have announced that everyone's coming back, and there's quite a lot in the press about that and different opinions. And what's the culture like there around this, and how do you help to support and influence that?
There's new legislation coming in about hybrid working, and so it'll be interesting to see how that influences policies going forward. Personally, I love hybrid working, maybe 1 to 2 days a week. It gives me a little bit of headspace when I have like a major admin project to do. Then I'm at home and I don't have any distractions. I have no one coming to me at my desk going, oh, I need this, or oh, can you fix that? So it gives me some personal focus headspace. I love that our office is in Monday to Thursday, and everybody is allowed to work from home on a Friday. So I think it gives everybody just a little bit of structure to go, okay, these days I'm in the office, this is my focus time. If I need to do anything, it can be on a Friday. There's a little bit more leeway and play. I think being able to show senior leadership how healthy it is to be able to work from home, and the difference between having people in the office 5 days a week or 3 days a week in terms of people like job satisfaction, job retention rates, all of that comes to play when they can actually physically see that there's less people off sick. And the people that see that is us. So I collate that data and say to them, look, this is what it looks like. If people are here 5 days a week, you'll find a lot more sickness, you find a lot more absences, you find just people are a little bit more stressed out because they know they don't have some focus time. But versus, so we did some data pre-COVID and post-COVID, obviously, with being able to then work hybrid. It was very interesting to be able to influence leadership teams on physical data, not just opinion.
Interesting, because my mind goes in so many different directions there. I think unless people being sick or calling in sick because they're actually just working from home unwell, which I think you talked about earlier on, or is it actually because they are better because they're getting a bit of a line because they don't have to do their commute on a Friday and they're getting a bit of downtime and headspace and not feeling as overwhelmed by having so many people around them in the office and the stresses and the triggers that can come with that sometimes.
I think it's also a personality thing. Like some people are extroverts and some people are introverts. And some people need to not be in the office so many days a week because actually they just feel exhausted by having so many people around. And your introverts do just need a little bit of time at home. They still attend all their meetings, they still do all their collaboration, but they feel energized by the fact that they can be at home. And I find that they are more productive. Whereas your extroverts, I have some of the guys that love being in the office and they're in the office 5 days a week. And that's their happy space because they get lunch, they've got all their snacks, they have that chat, they have that buzz and that vibe. And that's what they want. So our office is very flexible, very easy, very accommodating. My rule is as long as you let me know, I'm happy with that. If you're in, I can accommodate for you, I can get you lunch. If you're not, if you're in and don't tell me, then I can't accommodate or create the vibe that you're looking for. So that's usually where I say communication is key.
It's a very interesting topic. It's so wide spanning. And I think the influence that office managers have over this is not necessarily over the decision around it, but it's huge. And there's a lot of talk now about being 4-day weeks. And I know there's a number of companies, a couple of hundred companies around the UK that are trialing it. My last question for you then, and I can let you go and get on with your other most important job. What are your career aspirations looking forward?
We have opened Singapore recently and we are opening an office in the Netherlands. So I've already been involved with opening the Netherlands, the actuaries. So I think I would like to be more of a global position, an office manager of all three, and to be able to manage that. I think that will be an absolute dream come true to be able to have a global role.
Global office management roles. I love being global head and having other office managers. And I never actually got to visit my global offices because they were quite tight on my travel budget, which was a little bit annoying, especially when we were managing the Dubai project and opening an office there and doing it fully remotely. But it is a really nice, I think, role and aim and ambition to have. And Heidi, it's now time for your you won't believe it but moment, your extract from your office manager diary. If you can share one with us, please.
So one of the founders in a previous role came to me at my desk and was like, oh, I lost my access card. And I was like, oh, do you remember where it is? Like maybe we'll phone a restaurant or wherever you'd been. He went, no, it's in the Sunny bin. And I was like, okay, what happened? Like, how did it how did it end up there? And he went, I was sitting on the toilet and I threw my sandwich packet away with the card and it's in the Sunny bin. Can you get it out? And I said to him, I'm really sorry. Like, that's not something we can do. They are sealed units. They will now be destroyed. And he went, I sure you can't do anything about it. I was like, how about I just get you a new card issued by the building? And he went, oh, yeah, that's okay. Because I got myself stuck in the stairwell as well. And we were on the 5th floor. So he's like, I couldn't get back into the building. So I said, you can walk yourself all the way to the ground floor and go and buzz out at reception. He went, oh, yeah, that probably would have been better than staying in the stairwell for half an hour. Yeah, we've had many strange conversations along the way.
I mean, okay, so you've obviously got unisex toilets to just start here, or multi-gender, whatever the right term again here is. But surely men know that that is sanitary waste for period products. And so why would you put your sandwich wrapper in there in the first place? My son obviously has to come into the toilet with me because he's still so little. And if he goes to touch any of these bins, I'm like, touch them because they're just gross, especially when you're in public places rather than office toilets where they might be a little bit nicer. But so why, first of all, would he touch it? Secondly, put his sandwich in it and not, or wrapper, and not realize that his access card has gone in it. So it begs the question, why does he think that you're about to go through a toxic waste bin? You know, I don't see the difference really between asking you to go through that and asking you to go through a sharps bin, quite frankly, where people have got products which are freaking gross.
Again, we're the go-to people to sort out problems. And sometimes you just need to ask why. Instead of just following things blindly, just go, why? And can I help you another way?
I also think sometimes it's best not to ask why.
This is also
I don't want to
true.
know. Like when you first said he'd put his access pass in there without then the context of his sandwich wrapper, I was thinking, was he just playing? Yeah, I don't know. Right. Too many questions. Too many questions. Okay. Thank you so much for being a guest on the Office Manager Diaries, Heidi. It's been really lovely to chat and see Alora as well.
Thanks, Hannah, for having me and also just giving me some insight. It's been a privilege and been a great honor to be part of the network for such a long time.
Paid of people, I promise.
This episode is sponsored by the Office Management Portal, our free online membership platform aimed at connecting, supporting, and empowering office managers in a simple to use, all-in-one self-service resource. You can sign up right now at www.theofficemanagementportal.com and click the sign up button in the top right. If you want to upgrade your account to our premium membership at any time for unlimited downloadable templates and monthly expert masterclasses, use the code THEOMD for 25% off. That's THEOMD for Office Manager Diaries for 25% off. Thank you for listening.